Welcome to Tale Tinker, where stories come to life. Discover magical adventures, friendly characters, and endless imagination, one tale at a time. Lila tugged at her suitcase, frowning, as she stepped onto her grandparents' creaky porch. Their house stood surrounded by towering trees that seemed to whisper in the evening breeze. The city, with its bright lights and bustling streets, felt a world away. "I'm going to be so bored here," Lila muttered. She loved her grandparents, but couldn't imagine spending a whole week in the quiet woods. Her grandma chuckled, her eyes twinkling. "The forest has its own magic, my dear. You just need to know where to look. Tonight, after dinner, I'll show you something special." Curiosity sparked in Lila, but she didn't let it show. Instead, she sighed and followed her grandma inside. Later that evening, as the sky turned a soft lavender and fireflies began to blink in the dusky air, Grandma handed Lila a glass jar with a silver lid. "Let's catch some fireflies," she said with a wink. Lila perked up a little. She had seen pictures of fireflies, but never caught one before. "Okay," she said, following her grandma into the woods. The air was cool and smelled of pine. Fireflies blinked all around them, like tiny stars floating to the ground. Lila ran after one, laughing as it danced just out of her reach. Finally, after a quick swipe, she captured one in her jar. "Gotcha!" she said triumphantly, holding up the jar. But when she looked closer, Lila gasped. The firefly wasn't just a bug at all. It was a tiny person. She had delicate wings that shimmered like rainbows and a gown that glowed softly. "Hello!" squeaked the tiny fairy, waving up at Lila. Lila's mouth fell open. "You're a fairy!" "Of course! We've been waiting for you!" Before Lila could respond, her grandma laughed behind her. "Go on, Lila. Open the jar." With trembling hands, Lila unscrewed the lid, and the fairy flew out, hovering just in front of her face. "Follow me," she said, darting into the woods. Lila glanced at her grandma, who smiled and nodded. "Go on. I'll be right here." Heart pounding, Lila chased the fairy deeper into the forest. More glowing fairies joined them, swirling around her like a glittering whirlwind. They led her to a clearing where the trees sparkled with golden moss and a crystal clear stream bubbled over stones that gleamed like jewels. The fairies sang a soft, lilting song, and as they danced, the forest seemed to come alive. Flowers bloomed in radiant colors, and animals peeked out from the trees to watch. A family of deer nibbled at the glowing moss, and an owl hooted gently from the branch. Lila spun around, laughing in delight. "This is amazing," she said. The lead fairy perched on her shoulder. "The forest is full of wonders if you take the time to see them." When Lila finally returned to her grandma, she was glowing as brightly as the fairies. "You were right, Grandma," she said, hugging her. "The forest really is magical." And for the rest of the week, Lila explored the woods with new eyes, always keeping an eye out for her new fairy friends. Thank you for joining us on this magical journey with Tale Tinker. We hope you enjoyed today's story and that it sparked your imagination. If you love exploring new adventures, make sure to hit the subscribe button and click the little bell so you never miss a tale. Stay tuned for more fun